hard to believe I'm walking through the ruins of the first ever city, because I'm not. That's in Iraq.
My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees, and today we are back in the beautiful city of Toronto, Ontario for potentially the most exciting thing I've ever done on this channel. Today, we are going to the Canadian premiere of The Little Mermaid. This has quickly become my most anticipated movie of the year. And if you've been following the channel since I started, you know I've had my hesitations about this movie. Never about Halle Bailey. Let's make that clear as well. I adore her. I think she's a perfect Ariel. But I've had my hesitations about this movie. But as we've gotten closer and closer to it, I've gotten more and more excited. And I'm so lucky that things just kind of lined up perfectly. And I managed to get myself an invitation to the Canadian premiere. Now, you might be asking yourself, Matt, how did you manage to get an invitation to the Canadian premiere of The Little Mermaid? We love your content, but you don't have a ton of followers. First off, thank you. Second off, that's true. It's through sheer luck, perseverance, and just by merit of being a huge Disney fan, because I've been collecting Disney movie reward points, aka Disney movie insider points, for like over 10 years now. And it just so happened that one of the rewards being offered by Disney movie insiders was a pair of tickets to the premiere. And I had to do a little bit of work to get the extra points I needed, but I made it happen. And now here we are. And without further ado, let's go in. The premiere is taking place right here at the TIFF Lightbox Theatre. With my ticket from Disney Movie Insiders, I was told to sign in at 5:30. It's 5 o'clock. It looks like it's not as crowded as I was expecting, and I honestly have no idea what to anticipate. My ticket did say that talent will be present. They didn't say who it would be. They didn't even say if they'd be talent people who were in the movie. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the talent, but I don't know. We'll find out. Let's go in. All right, I just grabbed my tickets, and there is a 360 photo op. I've secured my ticket, which is in the form of this nifty lanyard. So the lanyard is really beautiful. It has the date at the back. Over here, you're going to see it has my specific seat written on it, and all of this fine print is essentially saying if a camera is turned on in the theater, you're going to be thrown in Disney jail. So this is the most footage you're probably going to see from me at this entire event until I get home and tell you all about how much I love the movie. There is this really cool, beautiful blue carpet set up right there behind me. Apparently, you need to be an influencer or like an invited special person to walk the blue carpet, which I am not yet, and I have it on good authority that Flounder himself, Canadian treasure Jacob Tremblay, Jacob, the kid from Room, will likely be here in attendance. Except now I'm wondering if it's actually going to be Jacob Tremblay or if it's just going to be the fish. We'll find out. So we're up here on the second level, and I'm not positive. I think this event behind me is related to the premiere, but I'm not positive. There's a line. I might stand in it and see what happens. I just noticed that they have a dingle hopper here as a centerpiece, and I'm living for it. Evidently, we have 2 things going on here. One of them that I'm in line for right now is this fun, cool Snapchat filter opportunity. And then on the other side, right there behind me, we have a mermaid hair bar. Evidently, you can get your hair done in a mermaid style. My hair is already done, and the line's kind of long, so I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I love that I have the option. I'm in line to get my hair done at the hair bar, the mermaid hair bar. They just started playing the steel drums. They're playing Kiss the Girl. It's so beautiful. Okay, so they have a variety of style options. You can do the knot, French braid, up your do, rejuvenate your curls, just the edges, or glam it up. I mean, I think glam it up is intended to happen after this, but there's not much you can do with my hair, so I'm just here for the glitter. This is so exciting. It's like I finally get to live out my adult fantasy of going to Bippity Boppity Boutique, but like in a not creepy way. I feel pretty. My mom also got her hair done. She did the braid herself, but look at these beautiful enhancements that they added. Incredible. That's Flounder. Yeah. All right, I had no idea what I was going to do here for an hour, and now I feel like there's not even enough time to take advantage of all the fun stuff that they've got going on here. So now we're heading into the theater, and we get to see the movie. Oh, I wonder if there's popcorn. Okay, so I was all prepared. I was in line and ready to buy popcorn and drinks, which would have come to like $20 for me and my mom. But lo and behold, there's an entire table of popcorn and a table of bubbly water.
It's Buble!
This is awesome. It's the Michael Buble water.
Excited are you for everyone in Canada to see this?
Yeah, it's been a very, very long time, so I'm very excited to introduce it to Canadians. And yeah, you guys are the first Canadian audience to see it, so that's very exciting for me. Yeah.
I just left the movie, and maybe it's just me riding the high of this entire night. That's like one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. It's by far one of the best Disney live-action remakes. I know the bar for that is very low. I have to process my thoughts. I'm going to process my thoughts. I'm going to give them to you. Let's go home. And we are back from the Canadian premiere of The Little Mermaid. If you couldn't tell from the footage, I just had the best time. It was truly the bubbles. Now, the one thing I didn't really get a chance to show on camera when I was at the premiere was the gift bag. All of these were waiting for us at our seats once we actually got seated in the cinema. It's literally a bag that was a gift. It's this gorgeous iridescent, is that the right term? Let's go with it. Gorgeous iridescent beach bag. Look at it! I also discovered, seemingly too late, that evidently there was an entire table filled with gift bags waiting for us after the movie let out from Shea Moisture, like the incredible sponsor that set up that mermaid hair bar that might have been my favorite part of the entire evening, except for the exceptional film. Evidently, they had goodie bags for the entire audience, because I saw on their Instagram stories that they were laying out Shea Moisture grab bags on that table that had the popcorn on it. But in accordance to regular film-going etiquette, I waited until the credits rolled, like until they were done, to leave the theater, and by then I just saw a long empty table. So I think other people, maybe they took extra bags, maybe Shea Moisture cleared the table when they thought everyone had vacated the theater. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't get a Shea Moisture bag, but I did take 2 bags of popcorn going into the movie, so that's karma. So let's talk about the screening. Now, it was all pre-assigned seating, and just knowing that I was not an invited guest, I got my tickets by redeeming Disney movie reward points. I didn't have high hopes for where I was going to end up being seated, but I got such an incredible seat. I was like smack dab in the center, about 3/4 of the way up. It was perfect. And my mom and I were actually seated next to the CEO of the Toronto Caribbean Carnival Festival, which was just so cool. She was the nicest person ever. She was there on behalf of Toronto Carnival, and they helped coordinate the steel drum players, who, may I just say, those musicians were impeccable. So now let's talk about the movie. Now, at the time of releasing this video, the film actually hasn't been released to the public yet. And so, I mean, I didn't sign anything in terms of a confidentiality waiver, whatever, but just out of respect for people watching the video, right now we are going to be doing a spoiler-free review. So you can watch the rest of this video and hear my thoughts without actually having the movie-going experience ruined for you in terms of plot details, surprises, twists, turns, whatever. I am planning to do a full spoiler review where I go into detail about the things I loved and the things I didn't love, and that should be released within the week. So, watch both videos. Right from the beginning, I'm going to open by saying, this is an incredible movie. Alright? They did absolute justice to The Little Mermaid, and I highly recommend everyone see it. If that's all you were waiting for, there it is. But let's talk a little bit more about it. Now, this is a longer movie. I think it's the longest live-action remake that Disney has done. It's just under 2.5 hours, but the pacing is so good. It never feels like it drags on. And there were a bunch of kids at this premiere watching this movie. They never got restless. They were seemingly just as engaged for the entire 2 hours and 15 minutes as I was. And it's just like I said right after seeing the film, it is so easy to say that this is the best Disney live action remake, but that's a notoriously low bar. This is one of the best and one of the most beautiful movies that I feel I've seen in a long time. I think it accomplished what every Disney live action remake claims they're trying to do, but so few actually succeed at, which is giving us a true, honest reimagining of the fairy tale inspired by the Disney cartoon, as opposed to just a flat-out remake of the Disney cartoon. There is so much respect and adherence to Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, paired with what made the animated Disney Little Mermaid so good, and it just comes together to create this stunning piece of cinema. And this movie does something that normally, under most circumstances for a live-action remake, I wouldn't like, but was actively one of my favorite parts of this film. They recreate so many images from the animated movie, shot for shot. And yes, I mentioned in my trailer review that this seemed to be a direction that they were going, and I think even in my trailer review I said, I'm a fan of it. I don't think we've seen this done this way before. And then everyone came for me in the comments oh, they do this all the time in the live action remakes. That's why there's always a side-by-side comparison. You're not paying attention. Yes, I'm paying attention. This is why it's different in my mind. I think in past Disney live action remakes, when we've had similar image compositions, it's been nostalgia pandering. It's been Disney on some level saying, here is a classic image that you know and love from the animated film. Let's just recreate it so that we tap into your inner child and make you think, oh, this is something I love, therefore this is a movie I love. I think the way that the image recreation is done in the live-action Little Mermaid, it taps into the visual language of the animated film in a way that utilizes those images for storytelling purposes instead of just nostalgia pandering. And I loved it. And it's not just the recreated shots from the animated movie that struck a chord with me. This is just a visually spectacular film, and it's a movie that needs to be seen on the biggest screen you can possibly find in your neighborhood. If it's in IMAX where you are, see it in IMAX. I mean, the scale and the scope, the sheer spectacle of this movie is outstanding. And this is coming from somebody who notoriously does not like movies that go overboard with scale and spectacle. But even just the shots of the rolling water before we even get under the sea, it's does anyone remember that movie The Perfect Storm? It kind of has the same energy as the VHS cover of that movie The Perfect Storm. There are probably better ways to express it, but trust me, it looks really beautiful. Now I'm going to acknowledge the elephant fish in the room. I have had my hesitations about whether or not this movie could work at all. One of the very first videos I published on this channel was my deep dive into why I felt that The Little Mermaid couldn't possibly work in a photorealistic live action setting nearly as well as it did in a 2D hand-drawn animation setting. And that was pretty well because hand-drawn 2D animation comes with this inherent suspension of disbelief. It gives you this beautiful fluidity of motion in a 2D animated mermaid world that I'm just not convinced can be pulled off well in a three-dimensional photorealistic world. So did this movie change my mind? No. But that's not to say that it's not still beautiful. I think they did as good of a job as they could because, I don't know, I'm still of the opinion that it's not possible to create a realistic looking under the sea world. You have to contend with figuring out where the lighting sources are coming from, which is why so many people are complaining, oh, the movie's too dark. You have to contend with the fact that under the sea creatures are bleeping terrifying in real life, and then you have to strike this balance between making them look engaging but also making them look realistic. All that considered, I think the filmmakers did an outstanding job. Does it look real? No. Does it look fake? Also no. I'm able to look at the under the sea environments in this movie with the same eye and the same appreciation that I have when I'm watching an Avatar movie. Yes, obviously it's fake. Nothing like this can exist in the real world, but it's so visually beautiful that I'll take it. In my opinion, Scuttle is without a doubt the most successfully animated animal character in the film. Sebastian, it's not bad. Or maybe I just got used to him since seeing him in the trailer. But I think the issue with Sebastian is it's less to do with Disney and how he's animated, and just more to do with the fact that crabs in nature all look a little bit terrifying, especially ghost crabs. Like, why are their eyes up here? But you know what? The reason the CGI doesn't bother me too much in this movie is because the CGI is not the star of the movie. And I think that was the trap with so many past Disney live-action remakes. Lion King, CGI is the star. Even Beauty and the Beast, like 90% of the characters were all CGI'd, but that's not the case here. They make a very smart move and they get Ariel out of the water comparatively pretty early on in the movie. Like, I would say 2/3 of the film takes place on land. And I'm so happy for that, because it allows us to focus on the true star of this movie, Halle Bailey. Not even just Halle Bailey, the entire ensemble. The strength of this movie is how well it is cast and how good every individual actor is in their role. There is not a weak link in the chain. There's only one link in the chain that I'm just not personally a fan of, and maybe we'll touch on that later. But let's start with Halle Bailey. At this point, I almost feel like it's a given, and we all know going into the movie that Halle Bailey is going to be incredible. Like, without a doubt, she has the voice of an angel, which is just so crucial. And that's a mistake that Disney's made with how they've cast some of their past movies. They've hired actors who weren't capable of doing justice to the sung material of the movie. That's not a problem here. And it's also, like, let's be fair, with Ariel, you can't get away with casting a non-singer as Ariel. So, we all know Halle sounds amazing as Ariel, but what I wasn't prepped for was just how incredible her performance would be from an acting perspective. Because yes, we know that she can sing it, but the level of heart that she puts into her performance, especially when Ariel is not able to speak, it's just outstanding. Watching her carry this movie, okay, I'm going to make a bold statement here. I'm going to make a bold statement, and it might sound over dramatic, but I don't care, because I do honestly feel this in my heart of hearts. Watching Halle as Ariel is comparable to watching an incredible actor take on the role of Hamlet. She is the person who is on screen for like 90 to 95% of the film, and she is the glue that's holding everything together. This role demands so much of whoever is inhabiting it. Like, yes, there is the singing, which is so important, but I think we forget that for more than half of the movie, Ariel has lost her voice. She has to communicate all of those emotions and that entire experience of falling in love, like not just with Eric, but also with the human world, purely through this. And just seeing Halle's reactions to everything, there is just this genuine quality, this innocence, this naturalism to her performance that is so beautiful. Like, it's the type of performance that I think you see once every 5 to 10 years, and I truly believe that it's like watching an incredible actor play Hamlet. There's something so magical about seeing somebody take on a role that you know so well, performing material that you know so well in your head and in your heart, and then hearing them give it a fresh perspective in such a way that it makes you think about the material in a brand new way. Like, that's just a gift as an audience member, and it's a gift that Halle gave me, and I want to thank her for it. So yeah, anyway, that's why I think watching Halle as Ariel is like watching an incredible actor take on Hamlet. And not even just Hamlet. Like, you think of something like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. It's another role that is so crucial, because they are the person that you have to follow and be invested in and have to love through the entire duration of the story, and that person's Halle. And she's flippin' amazing. Now, with that said, I don't just think the movie is good because of Halle. It would be easy to say that, like, Halle's performance is the one good thing in an otherwise bad film, and actually I have seen reviews that have said exactly that. And, like, I know everything is subjective, and I don't want to say that that opinion is wrong, but that opinion is wrong. I think the other reason that this movie works so well is because of Jonah Hauer King as Prince Eric. I went into this movie forgetting that Prince Eric was even a part of the story. I was going in excited for Ariel and excited for Ursula, and I figured Prince Eric would just be there. It would be like that Barbie movie. She's everything, he's just Ken. But that's not the case. Prince Eric is not just Ken. Jonah Hauer King is not just Ken. You know, I think this is just a case of Prince Eric being a very well-written role, inhabited by the correct actor. The chemistry between the two of them is palpable. And that is truly the heart of the film and what makes it work so well. once again, to throw it back to previous Disney live-action remakes, if I think about Emma Watson and Dan Stevens in Beauty and the Beast, for example, I think individually they gave brilliant performances. I didn't feel the chemistry. When I think of live-action Aladdin, I think Jasmine, in her portrayal, as well as how the character was written, overshadowed Aladdin himself. Here, we have two equally developed characters being played by two equally capable actors. They are perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Thanos would be proud of how these characters are portrayed. And I just think it's the perfect combination of the right performer and the right material. All right, let's talk about the other performances. Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. Now, I had my hesitations about Melissa McCarthy. Not really because I ever doubted her talent or her capabilities as an actor, because I think Melissa McCarthy is an extremely capable, talented actor. But my hesitations of her as Ursula were twofold. The first fold was Poor Unfortunate Souls. I mean, like so many other people, Poor Unfortunate Souls is one of my favorite Disney songs. I think it's undoubtedly the best Disney villain song, and I think it gives Part of Your World a run for its money as the best song in The Little Mermaid. So my thought was, why wouldn't they cast a singer for Ursula the same way that they cast a singer for Ariel? And my thought was, why not just get Queen Latifah? Because she rocked it in The Little Mermaid Live, she's worked with Rob Marshall, it just all seemed to make sense. The other fold of my twofold hesitations for Melissa McCarthy was just the fact that ever since Bridesmaids, she's kind of become a brand unto herself for the types of characters that she's played in the movies that she's headlined over the last 10 years, you know? That character that's really goofy, campy, a little bit ridiculous, and those are all traits that suit Ursula perfectly. I think that's why everyone loves Ursula. But she still needs to be grounded. She still needs to be a viable threat. And it's not that I doubted Melissa could go there, it's that I doubted Disney, the producers, Bob Chapek. I doubted that Bob Chapek would let her go there. Thankfully, she did. She has given such a perfectly, I'm going to use this word again, such a perfectly balanced performance as Ursula. She has this moment towards the end of the film that I'm not going to give details about because, again, spoiler-free review. But she has this moment towards the end of the film that I almost feel solves the Disney villain problem. The problem that we've seen with Disney villains is that they're kind of one of two things. Either they're completely ridiculous and they're just thirsty for power and we can't relate to them or sympathize for them whatsoever. Or they're too sympathetic. They're just people that were maybe wronged, scorned, and then they're making some bad decisions, but there's the possibility for a redemption. I personally have wanted to see a villain ever since the Maleficent movie came out, and the Maleficent movie deprived me of this. I'm still angry about it, but I have wanted to see a Disney villain portrayed in such a way where they are a character who cannot be redeemed, but at the same time, a character who is a very real human or octopus creature with very real human or octopus creature emotions that are motivating them through anger, hurt, sadness, whatever, to do the terrible things that they are doing. And Melissa gave that to me. So much like Halle's performance, Melissa's performance also gave me a gift. Thank you, Melissa. Another standout performance was Awkwafina. I went into the movie knowing I was going to love her. Much like Halle, she exceeded my expectations. She was a standout. Daveed Diggs, how could you not love Daveed Diggs? Jacob Tremblay, Canadian treasure. The one, I don't even want to call him a weak link because this person is a gifted actor, an incredible talent. So not a weak link, but just like a link that I didn't care for in the chain of this metaphorical cast, Javier Barden as King Triton. There was just something missing for me that I want to see from King Triton. I think King Triton in the animated film is iconic. He is terrifying, which Javier Bardem always scares me, so he got that down packed. But the more I've watched The Little Mermaid as an adult, the more I've come to appreciate King Triton as a character. Yes, he is terrifying, but he also has the biggest heart. This is somebody who is an overprotective parent. He is just so full of love, and it just manifests in the most terrifying way possible. So I think Javier Bardem absolutely got the scary elements of Triton down, and I never doubted that he loved his daughters, but I just think Javier Bardem is the type of person who just, as an actor, and who knows, maybe even as a human, but as an actor in the performances that I've seen, he portrays characters that keep their cards very close to their chest. And I just never feel the love through Javier's performance as Triton. Actually, no, that's not fair to say. I do feel that he's portraying Triton as a character who is fiercely loving and protective of all of his daughters. I don't see any vulnerability. That's it. I don't see any vulnerability from Javier's performance as Triton, and that's kind of the piece of the puzzle that I was missing to truly take this movie from being exceptional to like one step above exceptional. I don't know, I feel that if I had a performance of King Triton that showed a little bit more vulnerability, that would take my personal rating of this movie from like a 9 to, say, a 9.5. Oh, and I guess that's what I'm rating this movie, a 9 out of 10. There we go. Now, with that said, all was not lost, because I still got that portrayal of an overprotective, loving parent, but through a brand new character, Eric's mom, the Queen. I love her. That's all I'm going to say. But overall, this movie is an example of why casting is so crucial and how it can actually truly make or break a movie. If they had gone with, say, top tier A-list performers in the roles of Ariel and Eric, like people who were cast for recognizability over suitability for the roles, I would not love this movie as much as I do. But the care and attention that they took with finding the perfect people for this cast, like, that's just another example of why I adore Rob Marshall so much as a director. And let's just take a moment to acknowledge Rob Marshall's work on this. Watching this movie, you can just tell that Rob Marshall took great care in every element of crafting this film, especially in regard to honoring what the story of The Little Mermaid meant to both Hans Christian Andersen as well as Howard Ashman, who was undeniably the heart of the original Disney animated movie. The Little Mermaid was written by somebody who had so much love that the world was not willing to accept or embrace, and that's why Hans Christian Andersen's original fairy tale has such a tragic ending. Now, this isn't even a spoiler. Obviously, this movie does not embrace the original Hans Christian Andersen ending. Like, they don't give Halle Bailey a knife and say, stab Eric or turn into sea foam, and then she decides to turn into sea foam and effectively die. What we do get is an ending that still honors the tragedy of Hans Christian Andersen's love story and his need for acceptance. We get a happy ending that celebrates acceptance in every way, that is just so beautifully representative of the source material and the heart of the story that I think makes it a classic that is worth revisiting with reimaginings like this one. Reimaginings that honor the story and not just one really good movie based on the story. Truly, this has to rank as the most successful Disney live-action remake, potentially rivaled only by Cinderella and Jungle Book. Anyway, those are my non-spoiler thoughts. Stay tuned on the channel for my full, detailed spoiler review. And with that, friends, this concludes yet another episode of Teacup for One. Now let me know in the comment section down below, are you planning to see the brand new Little Mermaid film? And if so, how many times? And if you want to be the first to know when I release my full spoiler review, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And if you haven't subscribed already, it is so easy. All you have to do is click on my face. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and this has been the Teacup for One. Go away.